Hi everyone. Today I want to share with you 3 things that I wish I knew when I was in an abusive relationship. My name is Amy and this is Narcaway. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. Welcome back if you've been here before. I'm going to dive right into the video this week. Now, for those of you who have watched my 1 year no contact video, you know that I have been out of my narcissistically abusive relationship for a little over a year now. In fact, it's about 1.5 years at this point. And in 1.5 years, a lot of things change. When you are no contact from your abuser and you do the work to heal, such as therapy, educating yourself, reading, watching YouTube videos, you are really able to reflect on everything that happened in that relationship. You're able to really make sense of a lot of the confusing things that were happening. And this goes for both your abuser and yourself. There is room for a lot of reflection on your behaviors, your reactions, and how you took that abuse, especially if you didn't know it was abuse. So I was thinking today about 3 things that I really wish I knew when I was in that abusive relationship. So the number 1 thing that I really wish I knew, and I wish to share with you, is not to chase your abuser when you are getting the silent treatment. My relationship was filled with silent treatments. My abuser, that was his weapon of choice. He loved to abandon me, to discard me, to ignore me, and to watch me scramble. And scramble I did. I literally chased him. I would drive to places I knew he would be. I would go to his house knocking on his door. I frantically phoned him and texted him. By me chasing him, I was feeding his ego. I was giving him the supply that he needs to survive. I was grade A, A1 supply. I phoned him, begging him to please give me attention, to please talk to me. I apologized. I didn't even know what I was sorry for most of the time because I hadn't actually done anything wrong. But he was able to gaslight me into believing that I had done something wrong and I needed to apologize for it, to appease him and to make him be nice to me again. It's so disturbing and wrong and cruel, evil when I think back on it now. And when I look back on it now, I see how obvious it is. But at the time, when you're in the thick of it, it is just not obvious. It's not visible. So you don't know what they're doing to you, so you don't know how you're feeding into it. Had I established those boundaries that I would not accept the silent treatment, that wouldn't have been such an ongoing issue. So that's definitely one thing I wish I knew. The second thing that I wish that I knew and that I did differently was keeping it all under wraps. I didn't want people to know that my relationship was flawed. I didn't want people to think that I was in an abusive relationship. I mean, I didn't know I was in an abusive relationship at that point, but I certainly didn't want people to think that there was anything wrong with our relationship. I am guilty of wanting to portray that perfect relationship. I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted people to think of us a certain way. And because I was so concerned with how other people saw our relationship, I was not honest. I was not honest with my closest friends and my family by informing them that I was getting these silent treatments and that I was being called horrible, nasty names, and that I was being ignored and affection was being withheld and I was being manipulated and controlled. I didn't let people know that. I didn't want them to know that because I was ashamed. I carried such shame because I thought I deserved those behaviors, and I thought those actions by him, I thought they were my fault. I thought I earned them. I deserved them. I thought that was part and parcel with my flaws. So I didn't share that with people. And I think if I would have shared that more, somebody would have said, Amy, listen, this is not right. He's not treating you right. This is abuse. Somebody would have seen the red flags for what they were. But I was so concerned with my image and our image as a couple that I kept it under wraps. So looking back now, that's definitely one thing that I wish I knew. The third thing that I wish that I knew is to not prolong the inevitable. Don't stay in the relationship based on hope. When a relationship is abusive or unhealthy, without a lot of work by both people in the relationship, it's not going to be fixed. So once it's been identified as that and your partner decides that they don't want counseling, they don't want to fix it, they refuse to recognize that there's any fault in the relationship other than you, that's your sign to get out. And that was made evident to me very early in my relationship. Like, I'm talking in the first year, in the first few months, in all honesty. And we were together for 10 years. If I had left the relationship when the first major red flags were starting to present themselves, I could have saved myself a whole lot of time and anguish, and I would have lost a lot less. But I stayed in the relationship based on hope. I hoped that things would get better. I hoped he would change. I hoped that things would miraculously be how they were in the very beginning when I was being love bombed. But that never ever happened. It only got worse. So if I had have left when I knew that it was a toxic relationship, I could have prevented a lot of abuse. Because the abuse progresses. The abuse does not ever stop, and it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. Because you're teaching them that you lack boundaries in certain areas, and they are going to exploit that. You can't change an abuser. They can only change themselves. And it's not your responsibility or your duty to do that. So save yourself the time and energy and just leave the relationship and go be with somebody who's not abusive. So those are 3 things that I wish I knew when I was in the midst of a narcissistically abusive relationship. Those are 3 things that really didn't reveal themselves to me until I was out of the relationship and I had been no contact for a long time, and I could self-reflect on the past, on my relationship, on the abuse, and on myself. Thanks guys for watching this video. If you liked it, click the thumbs up button. If you don't already subscribe, please subscribe today, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you all.